Welcome to the grim reality of touring North Korea. For a U.S. citizen contemplating travel to North Korea, the visa acquisition process is a labyrinth of strict requirements and non-negotiable limitations. Unlike most destinations where visas can be obtained through embassies or online applications, North Korea requires all tourists to work exclusively through a handful of government-approved travel agencies, such as Koryo Tours or Young Pioneer Tours. These agencies act as intermediaries between the traveler and the North Korean government, organizing every aspect of the trip. A traveler must submit a detailed application, including personal information, employment history, and travel intentions. Journalists, human rights activists, and individuals deemed politically sensitive are often disqualified outright, as the regime closely monitors who's allowed entry. Applicants must also adhere to strict guidelines regarding what they can bring into the country. Any items considered subversive, such as religious materials, political books, or technology like GPS devices, are strictly prohibited. Even seemingly harmless items, such as travel guides containing maps that do not align with North Korea's territorial claims, can trigger suspicion and lead to denial of entry. The visa, once approved, grants access only to a tightly controlled group tour, as independent travel is entirely forbidden. Travelers are warned extensively about the rules they must follow once inside the country, including restrictions on photography, interactions with locals, and straying from designated areas. The process is a sobering reminder that entering North Korea is not just a matter of paperwork, but a commitment to abide by the regime's stringent conditions. Traveling to North Korea is unlike any other international trip. Most visitors enter through China, either by plane or train. Flights are operated by Air Koryo, North Korea's state airline, infamous for its outdated planes and limited amenities. The experience of flying Air Koryo is often described as stepping back in time. The planes, many of which are Soviet-era Tupolev aircraft, lack modern comforts. The safety record is a concern for many, though the airline operates under strict North Korean oversight. In-flight offerings are minimal, often limited to a single snack, the infamous Koryo burger, and propaganda videos showcasing North Korean achievements. The overall experience is less about comfort and more about enduring the journey. Alternatively, some travelers opt for the train ride from Beijing to Pyongyang. While initially picturesque, the journey quickly becomes sobering as the train crosses into North Korea. The stark contrast between bustling Chinese towns and desolate North Korean countryside is striking. Border inspections are thorough and intimidating, with officials boarding the train to check passports and search luggage for banned items. The journey provides an early glimpse of the isolation and control that define the North Korean experience. Upon arrival, the seriousness of your decision becomes palpable. Immigration officials conduct rigorous inspections of your belongings. Cameras, phones, and even books are carefully examined for content that might be considered subversive. At this point, you are introduced to your government-assigned guides, who will shadow you throughout your stay. These guides are more than tour leaders, they are enforcers, ensuring you adhere to the rules and presenting only the sanitized version of North Korea the regime wants you to see. Once inside the country, the sense of control intensifies. The places you are allowed to visit have been meticulously chosen to reflect the regime's propaganda. Pyongyang, the capital, is the centerpiece of most tours, showcasing grand monuments, pristine public spaces, and carefully staged displays of prosperity. The reality beyond these facades remains hidden. You might visit landmarks such as the Mansu Hill Grand Monument, where massive statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il dominate the skyline. Here, tourists are expected to bow in reverence and lay flowers, a compulsory act of respect. Another common stop is the Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, a heavily fortified border area between North and South Korea. The DMZ tour is one of the most surreal experiences on the itinerary. Tourists are taken to Panmunjom, the truce village where North and South Korean soldiers stand face to face. The atmosphere is tense, and every moment is closely monitored by both sides. Guides present a one-sided narrative emphasizing North Korea's supposed strength and vilifying the South and its allies. Visitors are cautioned against sudden movements or taking photographs without explicit permission, as even the smallest perceived provocation could escalate tensions. While the DMZ offers a rare glimpse into the realities of the Korean conflict, it is yet another stage for the regime's propaganda. Under no circumstance are you allowed to explore on your own. Your guides dictate your schedule, from meals to sightseeing, leaving no room for spontaneity. Taking photographs is another area fraught with restrictions. Pictures of military personnel, construction sites, or anything deemed unflattering to the regime are strictly prohibited. Even snapping a photo of an empty supermarket revealing the scarcity of goods could land you in trouble. As a tourist in North Korea, you quickly realize how little freedom you actually have. Every conversation with locals is monitored, every interaction staged. Ordinary North Koreans are forbidden from speaking candidly with foreigners, and any attempt to ask probing questions about life in the country is met with evasive or rehearsed answers. Even your accommodations are designed to isolate you. Most foreign visitors stay in hotels located on islands or areas far from local neighborhoods. These hotels serve as microcosms of the controlled environment, offering limited amenities and virtually no connection to the outside world. Internet access is non-existent, and international phone calls are prohibitively expensive, ensuring you remain cut off. The severity of North Korea's restrictions becomes even more apparent when you consider the consequences of breaking the rules. Tourists who violate the regime's laws can face grave repercussions, ranging from detention to imprisonment in labor camps. These punishments are not abstract threats. They have been carried out on numerous occasions. One of the most infamous cases is that of Otto Warmbier, a U.S. college student who was arrested in 2016 for allegedly attempting to steal a propaganda poster. Warmbier was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor and later returned to the U.S. in a comatose state, ultimately dying from his injuries. His case serves as a grim reminder of the risks associated with even minor infractions in North Korea. Another notable example is the case of Matthew Todd Miller, an American who entered North Korea in 2014 with the intention of deliberately getting arrested to gain insight into the regime. He tore up his tourist visa upon arrival, declaring that he was seeking asylum. Instead of being taken seriously, Miller was sentenced to 6 years of hard labor for hostile acts against the state. His release came only after months of diplomatic negotiations. There's also the story of Jeffrey Edward Fowle, a U.S. tourist detained in 2014 after leaving a Bible in the bathroom of a nightclub. Fowle's actions were interpreted as an attempt to proselytize, a serious offense in North Korea. He was held for nearly 6 months before being released following intervention by the U.S. government. These examples illustrate not only the harshness of the North Korean legal system, but also the limitations of home governments in securing the release of detained citizens. While diplomatic efforts can sometimes lead to eventual freedom, the process is often slow and fraught with uncertainty. In many cases, the detained individual becomes a pawn in the regime's geopolitical strategy, used to extract concessions or gain leverage in international negotiations. Leaving North Korea can be just as nerve-wracking as entering. The exit process involves another round of inspections, where officials may scrutinize your belongings for any unauthorized photos or items. Any suspicion could lead to detainment, even at the final moments of your trip. For those fortunate enough to leave without incident, the experience often feels surreal. Back home, tourists may face questions from their own governments about what they saw and whether they unintentionally violated sanctions. Some struggle with the moral implications of having contributed financially to a regime known for its human rights abuses. The ethics of visiting North Korea are deeply contentious. Critics argue that tourism funds the regime, indirectly supporting its oppressive policies. While some claim that engaging with North Korea fosters understanding, others see it as a form of complicity in the government's propaganda efforts. Tourism is also a geopolitical tool for North Korea. By controlling what visitors see, the regime crafts a narrative of strength and unity, masking the widespread poverty, repression, and human rights violations that define life for ordinary citizens. For the global community, the challenge lies in balancing the desire for engagement with the need to hold the regime accountable. Touring North Korea is not a typical travel experience. It's a tightly controlled journey into one of the world's most isolated and enigmatic nations. From the arduous visa process to the constant surveillance, every aspect of the trip is designed to project an illusion while concealing harsh realities. For those who dare to visit, the risks are real and the ethical dilemmas profound. The question remains, is the brief glimpse into this secretive state worth the personal and moral cost? For many, the answer is clear. The nightmare of touring North Korea serves as a stark reminder of the freedoms we often take for granted and the dangers of stepping into a world where those freedoms do not exist.